Hello, America, and welcome to another episode of the Ultra MK podcast, where together we are reversing the narrative. And on today's show, we are being joined by he's a military veteran, a hero. He's a fighter for the truth and for children all across this nation and abroad. He is currently working with certain nonprofits that are working against child trafficking within the United States, and he's here to tell his story. So on today's show, we are being joined by Craig Sawman Sawyer with the Veterans for Child Rescue. So stick around, you're going to love his story.
That is our obligation, to inform and alert the American people, to make certain that they possess all the facts that they need and understand them as well, the perils, the prospects, the purposes of our program, and the choices that we face.
Craig, thank you so much for joining the Ultra MK podcast, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much, man, for your patience with me and being a new podcaster. Sometimes things glitch out, and we're gonna make the most of it. So I just really appreciate you joining the show, and thank you so much for all of your service, both when you were younger, serving in the Navy, and everything that you've done in between then and until now, working with your nonprofit, Vets for Child Rescue. But before we get into the nonprofit, I know a lot of viewers have probably seen you on other shows in the past, and they've heard about your military service and things like that. But I really, really want to know more about the man and the history behind your upbringing, because it takes a unique person to not only reach the levels that you've reached within government, military service, within knowing the things that you know about in the world, and then to redirect all of your skill sets towards such an amazing cause and a necessary cause for that, which is to eradicate child trafficking, in America and beyond. So, can you just begin with telling us a little bit about like your upbringing, like with your parents and people who influenced you at a young age to mold you to who you are today?
Yeah, man. Well, I see all that I've been able to experience in this world, and I realize King Jesus had a plan for it the whole time. I can look back on my journey that I didn't realize where it was heading at the time. I can look back now and see that it was divinely guided. And so I can't take any credit for it. So, yeah, I was raised by a true man of God, Pastor David F. Sawyer, who founded this House of Faith in Spring, Texas, and led many thousands of people to Jesus Christ, and sponsored missions all over the world. And fantastic, sincere man of God. And my mom was right there with him, like-hearted and supportive. So I grew up in that. And then I I had a Sunday school teacher that wanted to just get our attention as rough little Texas boys. So he gave us a series on the life of King David from boyhood all the way up, and to really gain our interest in the Bible. And it did, it worked. And so I had that as my exemplar, King David, of what a true warrior for the Most High God looked like when literally probably praying out loud as he swung the sword in battle. That was my
Wow.
vision of how he must have fought at the time. Because I mean, he would literally send for, there was one account when they'd been attacked and they defeated their enemy, and their enemy was withdrawing and fleeing. And David said, "Send for my ephod," which is the armor with the priest's chest device with all the emeralds on it. It's like, send for that. I want to ask the Father if we should pursue them or not. So he's communicating in real time with the creator of everything on practical matters. And that's where I always wanted to get. And to fast forward, I could tell you that's where my team is operating at right now. We're growing into it and we're learning, but our hearts are there, and we are literally praying that way as we go throughout our operations. So all the credit to King Jesus. He divined my entire path, all the different agencies and units and training and experience and qualification was all his doing. I just did it because I felt like I wanted to. I was like, that's a good way to serve, and it's a lot of cool stuff to learn, empowering, skill sets to have.
Yeah.
And I didn't like terrorism, so I went to the highest level counter-terrorist operations unit there is. And now I see why that's useful in my life every day now. So following the path as a little blind mice that I was, mouse, um, I see now the creator wanted me to have all that because my mission now is to expose and interdict those who are making war on King Jesus's precious children. And we can talk about why they do it and the top cover that they enjoy and all of that as we go. But that's really been my journey. So I went off into the military, went off into federal law enforcement, and then high threat mobile security. And then I started learning through one of the TV shows I did called Battleground Rhino Wars that you can use media to help influence the public. And my gosh, we can all look back now and see we've all been programmed with very systematic negative programming from all forms of media, and that those who own all those platforms are literally hostile against us,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and the most hostile way, spiritually, totally against the greater populace. And we could talk about that too if you want, because that's what's really behind the war on children. So what I discovered after I founded Veterans for Child Rescue, we started our investigations. We made the documentary Contraland to alert everybody to what's really going on, is that there's a network of utterly wicked people that have fought for and scratched out and gained control of the most wealthy and powerful institutions on planet Earth, and that those people are Luciferians, they're Satanists.
Yeah.
And what they do to the children is what keeps them in those positions of wealth and power. They're utterly wicked, despicable souls, and they serve the
Hmm.
fallen angels. And that's
Hmm.
where the children come in, because the children are the most precious and the most innocent among us.
Right.
And the fallen know how much the Creator loves the precious little ones. And that's why it's so valuable to humans to do unspeakable horrors to them, because the fallen get off on that, because that's the fallen's make way of saying up yours to the Father. So
Yeah.
that's what the whole spiritual warfare aspect is of what's going on with the children. The poor children are just traumatized and horrified through the whole thing. They don't know why
Hmm.
it's happening or what's going to happen next, and
Hmm.
it's heartbreaking and enraging to witness, but God raises up warriors to go kick down enemy strongholds and tear down their altars and say no and mean it.
That's right. Yeah, and I think we're starting to see that in certain aspects, um, in certain places, because I think God's had enough of what's been going on. And Craig, let me ask you, because you do have a really good sense of the spiritual side of things, and just for the viewers who have never heard the term that Craig's using, the fallen, are you referring to fallen angels, or is that what you mean? Those entities that were
Yes.
kicked out of heaven by God, and so
Yeah.
they're working on behalf of Lucifer, they're working on behalf of Satan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're powerful. They are higher level spiritual beings, but they're created beings. And
Hmm.
they don't have any power over the Creator, over Yahweh, or over Yeshua, Jesus Christ. They have no power. If you look back in Genesis, when Lucifer fell, when he turned, um, God Almighty didn't swat him and throw him out. Yeshua, Jesus didn't do it. What did Yahweh say? He said, Michael, take out the trash. So he had another one
Yeah.
of his created beings Michael's
Right.
very powerful.
Right.
He's like, you do the work. The boss doesn't have
Hmm.
to. The boss could blink all of them out of existence. Literally, if he
Hmm.
spoke the universe into existence, spoke planets into existence, it doesn't have to go but like this to vaporize Lucifer, right? So, but he's allowing it to play out for our long-term lesson. We're eternal spirit
Hmm.
beings. He loves us. He wants to commune with us. And to be close to him, we have to understand how things work. And so we have to figure out what happens when we follow his way or we follow our way, which is the way of the fallen, all of the angels that were cast out of
Hmm.
heaven and are now making war on mankind, and their highest value target is the most precious and the most innocent of us all, those least deserving of any harm, the little precious children. So that's the overview of the context of the war on children. People don't like for you to say that. Some people have tried to chastise me for that. I'm like, no, I'm right. It's just that you're not educated on it. You're not aware yet, and it's uncomfortable
Yeah.
for you. Well, I'm sorry, but wakey, wakey.
Sure.
The ship is
Sure.
sinking. And you were born on a battlefield. It's time for you to learn how to fight back. Now, props to Pastor Dave there at Glad Tidings. He teaches people about spiritual warfare. Well, and I would say most, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but most Christian churches around the country, they never mention demons. They never mention the fallen. They never mention principalities, rulers, um, spirits of wickedness in high places. And they never mention all the different ranks of the fallen angels and their abomination offspring, and let
Sure.
alone teach their people how to fight back and defend themselves. So their parishioners have porn addictions, they have drug addictions, they have alcoholism, they have lying, deceiving tongues against each other and slandering and false witness. So they have all kinds of things in their hearts that shouldn't be there because they don't know that the demons are constantly casting these suggestions on them and that they have the ability to fight back and purify and draw closer to Yeshua. So
Right.
that's to say props to Dave because he teaches his people knowledge is love, man. Sharing wisdom on how things work is love. And so that's why I celebrate what's going on there is because his church knows. And
That's right.
everybody, though, needs to know. And when I try to post stuff, I see the bigger percentage of people don't comprehend what I'm talking about. And really try to dumb it down. But even then, still, you can tell people freak out and they don't even want to comment. But it's here. And
Well, it's
the Epstein files is really, I'll say this and I'll let you go.
Mhm.
Um, the Epstein files has really opened this up for people to go, oh my God, they are really evil. They are really, really sick. Those that are doing
Yeah.
this to the children, and it's an actual thing, and it's measurable, and it's documented, and we have legal cases demonstrating it. So
No, you're exactly right, Craig. I feel that this is like a time in history where it isn't about the people who already knew it was happening to point at those who didn't know or didn't want to know and say, ha ha, we were right. This is a point where I feel that dropping of the Epstein files is no different than, Congress or our government declassifying information about extraterrestrials or UFOs. It's like, it's just showing that we can no longer look at each other and say, oh, because I don't believe what you believe, you're a crazy kook or you're a conspiracy theorist. This is, to me, it's information, it's evidence that we can stand on as people and speak with truth to acknowledge what has been happening and people who maybe we used to idolize in some way, whether we used to love supporting them and go to their movies all the time or, buying a ticket to their concert, or we used to, residually vote, I'm only a Democrat or I'm only a Republican because my grandpa and my dad was. Like we gave our allegiance to these people, but now I think it's like a point in history where God wants us to be able to figure out, okay, based on this information, you know, how are we going to move forward as a people? How are we going to move forward as a country, right? How
it's a
how are we
great
going to
question,
help? You know what I mean? And
and
and I think that
it's a timely
go
one.
ahead.
No,
Hmm.
I believe now is the ordained time when King Jesus wants us to ask that question. Father, we can't trust anyone down here anymore. Who should we trust? Well, thank you very much. To have your attention
Right.
now. My daddy used to
Right.
preach, hey, if life knocks you flat on your back, that's a pretty healthy perspective. Oh, hi, Lord. He's like, yeah, do I have your attention yet? Or is it going to take more?
Yeah.
It's
Right. And
merciful.
and
Like
it
some
and it
people get
is.
thrown in prison. I have a buddy, he was on my SEAL team and he got into trouble, man. And he, beautiful soul living for Jesus, beaming, just shining uh, soul now. But he said, I walked into a cell, a solitary confinement, and there was nothing but a pair of leg irons and a Bible.
Wow.
And that's what it took for him to find Jesus. And
Yeah.
what a beautiful, merciful thing. And he was supposed to be in there basically for life, and he got out, I think, in 10 months. And now
Wow.
he's just living a glorious life for King Jesus and his family. And um, but God has ways of getting our attention, and
Right.
as long as we recover from it and go to heaven, then it's merciful because eternity
Right.
has no end.
That's right.
So a lot of
No,
people, you're right, man, they're not handling this gracefully because we're learning our institutions are temples of fecal matter,
right.
dripping, steaming, despicable sewage, and they'd been celebrated to us. Idols had been lifted up, institutions and celebrities. Here's who you will worship. Here is the star. And we're learning so many of them are just wretched, abusive, demonic,
Hmm.
infested souls that we can't get
Yeah.
far enough away from. No wonder they've been made and artificially raised up and forced upon us. So now I think it's I say it's healthy because we're starting to learn you can't act and work in your own best interest if you don't know how things work. Wisdom is understanding how things really work. And by the way, guess what? There's a book that has a lot of wisdom in it, and it is the Holy Bible.
That's right.
And so many
That's
people
right.
aren't reading it, and they're not benefiting from the love story that is from the Creator to us, His Word. And when I read through it, everybody takes something different. I get it something different every time I read, every morning. But my my synopsis of it, my short version of it is it's us being able to see his love for us. And when all of his children have either followed his way or they've rebelled and went their own way and how that played out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every time he rescues his people that
Yeah.
turn to him, and every time
Yeah.
they reject him, and he eventually lets his wrath fall on them, or he just withdraws his hand and lets their enemies destroy them for a while. They figure it out.
Right.
But I think
Yeah.
it's a
With
learning
God, there's
process
nothing
here.
new under the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
It is. No, it really is. And I think that many people who are watching this or are going to be talking about this because it's been out, that latest file drop came out less than a week ago now. And people are going to be going through all the different emotions, right? In different phases. They're going to be in shock. And then it's going to go towards either depression or so it's like people being infuriated, but they're going to have to sift through these emotions. And I just pray that people can then look at with a situation, look at themselves in the mirror and be like, I should be going closer to God in these times. If I have unanswered questions, God probably has these answers, and it's in our good book. It's in the Bible,
Yeah.
and we're living through these revelations right now as we
Yes,
speak.
yes, sir. I see people every day online and in person who don't follow the way of Yeshua because of people, bad
Hmm.
people claiming to be Christians.
Right.
There have been more gatekeepers, more bouncers who think they're going to be the thug at the front gate of heaven and keeping everybody else out, who claim to be Christians, driving people away than anything. It's not the person that claims to be an atheist. I don't believe in atheists, by the way. I don't believe that's possible. I think they're just in rebellion out of bitterness over something that happened to them. Again,
Sure.
probably by bad people.
Yeah, probably.
But it's not that, and it's not people that worship other false gods that drive people away from Jesus. It's people who claim to follow Yeshua but don't. they're not following his principles. They're not following what's in his word. And they're judgmental and they are repulsive to people
Yeah.
seeking Jesus. Instead of a welcoming committee, they're pretending to be bouncers. No, you
Right.
can't come in. And so I think the Father rebukes that. I see the harm in it, and I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate
Yeah.
the uh, um, the hostility, the judgmental. I mean, look at what Yeshua did. Look at what Jesus said to the Pharisees. Look at how
Hmm.
self-righteous they were. There was no love
Hmm.
in them,
Right.
man. Uh, just, and I think that's what we're meant to see now is, okay, I can't trust man. I can't trust institutions. Who can I trust? Well, there's only one who will never leave you nor forsake you.
That's right.
He
That's
spoke
right.
you into being. He knew you before he laid the foundations of the earth. He had a reason, a purpose, and a plan for your life. And you're meant to commune with him. So just get alone and open your heart and allow it. Seek him.
Hmm.
Seek and you will find. He doesn't mean to be hard to find. He means he's right here. All you have to do is stop and open your heart, and there he is. So I encourage
Hmm.
everybody, run to Jesus. Don't walk. Run.
Right.
Run
Amen.
because no, tomorrow's promise to no man. And look how much prophecy's been fulfilled. Um, I think we're very near the end of the book now.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
that's good news too. If
Yeah.
you follow him and you know it's all his, well, then the closer we're all with him, then the better. So
That's right.
I'm just taking this time of turmoil and chaos and using it as like a calling of a paramedic, going around sharing the good news, lifting people up, encouraging people.
I'm
My
so
problem
glad.
is I tend to swat people that attack me while I do it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rescue children. I'm trying to arrest predators and stop them from harming children. I'm trying to lead people to Jesus Christ, deliver them from demonic possession. And I got people, some of them claiming to be Christians, smearing my name with ridiculous accusations, trying to stop me. And so I tend to just bash them either legally. We've sued several of them and won big cases for multi-millions of dollars, and or just rebuke them publicly and
Sure.
expose them and humiliate them. But I'm like, that's not what the Father really wants me to do.
Yeah. I
If
know, Craig.
if what would he do? He would do something entirely more glorious and profound. He would tell them, I know you're hurting. Even though in
Right.
the middle they're attacking me, trying to stop me from sparing children, he would have the grace to go, I see that you're hurting. What's happened to you? How can I bless you? How can I
Right.
draw you, help draw you closer to the light? How draw you closer to Yeshua? And
Right.
so I do that, but not always. Sometimes I
I
get
know.
mad and
Craig,
because I
you're only a
resent it.
man.
I'm like, how dumb do you have to be not to see what I really do? They're
I
like, no,
know.
you do something different. You work for Hillary. And I'm like,
Oh, come on.
do I really?
Well, that's the
Uh,
thing, Craig, is like because you are doing the right thing from my point of view, like I judge a man by the fruits of his labor, right? And
yeah,
ever since I knew your name, I knew that you and your organization have been doing boots on the ground operations to literally get bad people off the streets into prison and children into safe places.
yeah,
Period. That's all I've ever seen you guys do. And when you're over the target like that, the enemy is going to deploy all kinds of apparatus to come and affect you because he wants to slow you down. He wants to weigh on your heart, because if Craig Sawyer is being weighted down on that day, he may not achieve the things that he wanted to achieve that day because he's stuck in the mud on something, right?
yes,
And it could happen in
yes,
the spiritual realm, no different than it'll happen in the physical realm. So there's going to be shills, there's going to be paid operatives, there's going to be trolls that are probably a Chinese bot that are not even a real person that are going to constantly try to attack people like yourself, like myself, like Pastor Day, like people who operate in this realm. And
yeah.
the enemy is good at pulling puppet strings and using other people who may not even realize that they don't have the real information. I mean, you look at all these climate activists that are out there, duct taping themselves to road signs and gluing themselves to an intersection. They think that they're doing the right thing,
They're
but they've
passionate. Yeah,
yeah, they're passionate, right?
they
But if
believe
they
it.
would don't, yeah, but they've been programmed so much, and and the enemy programs people to do
Yeah,
the wrong thing sometimes. But I know what your organization has been up to. I know I know what you guys have been doing, and I'm honored that you're on my show today, Craig.
Well,
And
thank you, brother.
I really want to ask you because you've served overseas, and you served in security detail, and you've done these things with our military. But when did you have that aha moment that the system of using children was as big as it really is, and what we're learning now through Epstein files? Like we all grew up with milk cartons with missing children, and it's always been tragic. But to when did you learn the full scope and magnitude of how big this problem really is? And it's not a new problem. You and I would both agree. This is
Yeah,
an
it's
ancient,
ancient. This
ancient
goes back to
problem.
Genesis 6. Yes,
Right,
sir.
right. So, but when did you in your human life have that? Wow, this is a massive issue, and I can't believe we're not doing more to fix this.
Well, there was a meeting that I had with friends of mine from different agencies in Houston that was the meeting where I learned that Houston was the hottest epicenter of child sex trafficking in the continental United States. And from what I learned from that meeting, I saw that child trafficking is a covert operation, meaning there are high-level government players involved, run domestically here in the continental United States at industrial scale. And it broke my heart. It enraged me. I knew there was a lot of corruption for that to prevail, that had to happen for that to prevail. Because if you and I started a lemonade stand right now outside the church, it'd probably be about 15 minutes before somebody from the IRS would be there wanting to get their taxes
Oh,
off
of
the
course,
$15 of lemonade we sold.
of
So you
course.
got hundreds of billions of dollars being made. It's no secret to those running the government, right? They monitor everything. So uh, I knew it was big, but I didn't realize it's as big as I'm learning now. So when was the aha moment? It still hasn't come. I'm still learning.
Mhm.
Every time I think I've gotten to the level to where I comprehend how big it really is, there's another uh, scale to it that I'm like, my gosh, all of the biggest institutions, the most wealthy and powerful, all the 13 families that run the global banking and the biggest, BlackRock and Vanguard and all the biggest corporations that are buying up everything, they're owned, run, and operated by people in like what George Carlin would call the club. I don't know if you've
Right.
ever seen any of his comedy skits, but he talked about this and he didn't talk in specifics, but goes, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Hmm. That's
And a lot
right.
of us realize that because it's been shared around a lot, but it resonates. That's who he was talking about. He was in Hollywood, film and television. He understood who how it works. And
Hmm.
so now we've seen through Diddy, it's the music industry. Nashville's the same now with the country stars. You can't be
Hmm.
past a certain level without selling your soul to buy into the club. So it's only
So,
really the biggest stars that are already past the failure level that can live as Christians, like Mel Gibson and Marky Mark and John Rich, that they don't care anymore because
yeah,
they've made theirs and they can be genuine, authentic Christians and not have to suck up to the
that's
industry
right.
to get gigs. So I
Yeah,
celebrate
God
them.
bless those people. Yeah. Let me ask you,
Yeah.
Epstein was Epstein was an asset, right? He was an
Yeah.
asset, and he had to have been working for somebody or some group of people. Can you speculate who he was working for?
Yeah, well, Ghislaine was running that one. Ghislaine Maxwell and her daddy was a Mossad agent, and so he was a bigwig, and so she was running that operation. So Jeffrey worked for her. So he was kind of like a party guy. He would an event planner and other tasks, as best I
Hmm.
understand it. Um, and they were doing blackmail operations. They were inviting people to parties and islands and resorts and mansions and ranches where they what I know another guy that's been into several high level events like that, and they're recruitment events, and they mean to bring you in castles. The friend of mine, he was a former agency dude. they flew him to a castle over in Europe, and they had all manner of hookers and blow. I mean, if anyone's ever seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut, that mansion where everybody was dressed up and everything, that they seem to enjoy that kind of aristocratic lifestyle because
Masquerades. Hmm.
yeah. So this guy described the event that he was at, and man, the women were world-class models, gorgeous, and dropping their gowns right in the middle of the room and having sex with guys and on big pit sofas and tuxedos of the guys and trays of Coke and
Hmm.
champagne, whatever everybody wanted. Everybody's beautiful, a lot of them were anyway. And he ended up being invited down an elevator into essentially a dungeon where they had a what's can't be anything other described other than a satanic ritual that he was to participate in, and they opened a grimoire. He described it to me. He didn't realize it was a grimoire. He goes, it was this book, and it had this weird, like light colored leather. I was like, brother, that was human skin. And if it's what you're describing, it's called a grimoire. It's a
Hmm.
satanic book of utter filth,
Hmm.
and that's a supernatural document that's from the dark side. And they were conducting a play. There's several people standing in a circle, and anyway, they wanted him to perform a sexual act on another male, and he's like, they're in. Anyway,
So
he's
just
like,
trying to
I don't know what you're
compromise him,
thinking, but
right?
what's that?
They're just trying to compromise him. They're trying to
They're
get
trying to
they're
recruit him
trying to
into
get him. Yeah.
their system. And he's like, I don't know what you were expecting. I don't mean to upset your party, but I'm not going to do that. And it got to where it was very heated, and it was they didn't have any sense of humor about it. And they finally made a phone call after he just wouldn't comply, and they sent for security and they escorted him out. Well, they'd flown him over there with a private jet with three amazing blonde-haired women. He said he did everything he wanted to. He goes, I'll admit it, Craig. I had a great time over there. And he goes, but then once they threw him out the front door, there was no more limousine. There's no more flight home. None of that. It's just like, pff, get out. But several other people in the intelligence community told him like, you're lucky to survive
I
because
was just gonna say
if
that.
you decline, you're probably not letting most
You don't
people
want to
back
live.
out of there.
Yeah, they don't want a person out running their mouth about what they saw or what they were engaged in or anything like that. So yeah, that gentleman is probably really lucky to tell that story in
Yeah.
some cases.
Yeah. So that they like to do those
So
things, and no wonder a
interesting.
lot of more people don't see those because they have them in highly controlled environments where you got to get through multiple layers of security and boundaries and cameras and
Hmm.
guards and things like that before you're going to get to the people doing unspeakable things to the children in bloody sacrificial ceremonies. But
Yeah.
so my
Yeah.
team, what I decided to do about this war on children was found a documentary and found a nonprofit organization and make a documentary and just show everybody what's really going on and ruin the secrecy, and thereby ruin the child trafficking trade, ruin the war on children in the United States. Well, that was optimistic because most people, first of all, our documentary Contraland was censored like you wouldn't believe. There was war made on that project. We got it out. We offered it for free. It's on ContralandMovie.com. Please go
When did
watch it. It
that
is powerful. 2020 it aired
when did that
on
publish?
Daystar.
2020? Okay.
Yeah, 2020 on Daystar. It aired to 90 million households in US and Canada on Daystar. God bless them. They aired it twice. And but Netflix and the others made excuses. Amazon Prime made excuses of why they couldn't air it, and they made three different excuses, formal excuses, and they changed their story every time why they couldn't do it. The specs exceeded what they need as far as the quality of the
Hmm.
film and all that. They just didn't
Hmm.
want to air it. And there have been other films that have aired uh, against child trafficking on those platforms, but ours wasn't. And I don't, I'm not going to, I don't think it's because Contraland was more powerful than those other films, because it carried it covered a kind of a very benign, mellow aspect of the child trafficking compared to what we could make, the film that we could make right now. But I think it's because the opposition knows, because the fallen are powerful. They're ancient beings. They're high level. They do have a level of power and they supernatural power and knowledge. And they hear conversations and they know what's going on. So I believe they knew I was coming. They knew that my heart, I was in complete obedience to the Father, that I'm not afraid and that I will do whatever He sends me to do. And what I mean to do is tear down their altars, tear down their idols, and wreck their war on children. And I pray every day that Yeshua empowers me to do that. And that's where it's heading. And might they have known that? Might that be why there's so much censorship and attack on my name? I believe so, because it's been that way from the very beginning. Those that grew up in my family's church, those that have been around me, they're like, dude, look at your background. No wonder they're upset. The who you're
Hmm.
connected to and what you can bring is legit. And I'm like, none of that matters compared to this connection, because that's all
Right.
his. He orchestrated all of that. So he lets us be his hands and feet, Matt, and that's a high
Yeah,
honor. And so it's a
it is.
nasty, you talked about the energy of the people. Yeah, I think a lot of people that act against us are not consciously aware of who's whispering that spiritually in their
Hmm.
ear. Go smear, go attack, be jealous, be resentful, be envious. Nah, nah, nah. I think they're not even aware of what they're doing. And as far as anyone who's a Christian, the first 10 commandments, the most basic 10, one of which is thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Hmm.
So they're not close to Yeshua. Those running me down are not close to him because they would check before they brought vile, false information. If here's another thing coming from the intelligence community too, and the counterterrorism realm, you learn to vet your sources. And this is a good public service alert that you and I can make right now, folks.
Hmm.
Now that we've seen that the mainstream news media is utterly corrupt and owned by those who hate the American people, when we say we are the news now, I celebrate that. But with that comes responsibility and accountability. So let take care in the information that we share, that we repost. If it's
Right.
righteous and valid, yes. But who put that information out? Is it just some clickbait shill looking to get a name for themselves and get clicks no matter who it harms? Because a lot of the information's been put out by people that are exactly that. They're fake victims. I'm sorry, Matt, but there's a lot of people claiming to be SRA victims that are not, that are
Hmm.
just railing against the world in desperation for attention. I rebuke that because it's harmful to those who are really genuine victims of it. But I said all that to say this, man, if you are vetting your source, if you're looking at a source of information, go, okay, what's that source's rating of accuracy over time? Very
Hmm.
high, all this information they put out is, man, are they 100%? Or are they all the way down near 0%? Or what in between? That we should make note of that. What is the quality of that source as far as their accuracy over time? And what is their access to the truth? They claim to
Right.
know about a certain thing. How do they know? Are they just talking about it from across the world? Or are they talking about it because they used to work there or they were married to the person or whatever?
Right.
Right? So that's another factor, access to the truth, accuracy over time. Those are a couple things and another thing, who are their enemies?
Hmm.
If I look at your enemies, Matt, I can learn a lot about you. And if your enemies are evil trolls, then that's the glorifying, and if your enemies are high quality people with a lot to lose, man, that's concerning. So all those factors are valuable, Americans, in
Hmm.
learning, ascertaining what's true and what's good information for us to repost. And so
That's right.
let us not be running down the good guys. Let us not be running down each other
That's
without
right.
vetting our sources. And that way, when
100%.
we share information, we can be assured that it is quality information. So we all get accurate information. We want truth. We don't want a junkyard of filth that we're most of what we get every day on social media is trash because then it's
It
harder to
is.
find the value, the
Right.
gems. Let's let it all be quality and we can all make it better by vetting our sources. Anyway, that's my soapbox on that.
No, I'm so glad that you had kind of carved and explained it so well because in these times, it is fifth generation warfare moving towards sixth generation warfare, which information is the bullet, is what's being used towards one another, towards the American people, towards those who are innocent and not so innocent. And I think that using discernment, asking the Father to give you signals, signs, confirmations on things, being obedient, being able to receive proper information are all things that we can all ask for and pray about, and I'm
Yes,
glad that
sir.
you were able to explain that so well because in this dimension of sharing information, people are so quick to be wanting to label people something or be first to bring news and information to the public when they haven't vetted sources when they haven't really dissected that news story and they just want to be first. I think we
Right.
have to be really careful with that. I totally understand and respect that. But going back to I mean, we were talking about high level, SRA, satanic systems of, the elite, the bankers, presidents, military, certain aspects of military, foreign places. That's high level stuff. But how, and especially with your organization, how over time has that trickled down into states, counties, local jurisdictions? And now we're learning, just through internet and seeing how, things like pornography is so hyper addictive. And what we're learning in this realm is that it leads people to wanting to participate in crimes against children. So,
Yeah.
can you kind of explain that hierarchical structure from the very top, but down to the local level? And that's really where we're seeing it, and that's where we have to do something about it.
Yeah. Well, we've got secret societies that permeate all aspects of society and in all geographic locations. President John F. Kennedy warned us before they assassinated him in public that secret societies were repugnant to the American people, the entire notion of it. Why are they so secretive? Well, because they're all in on doing despicable things for wealth and power. So it's ancient. It's the same old game. It's the same old war against mankind. The fallen want sick things done to children. Well, weak charactered men who aren't strong performers, who can't win by merit want to cheat and they want to have a shortcut and they're willing to sell their souls. They're so foolish. They're willing to sell their eternal soul for temporary wealth and power. And so they'll be in these Masonic lodges and get recruited into 33 degree because they are already Satanists. And I'm told repeatedly, somebody let me know if you know for a fact that I'm wrong, but will never be recruited into the 33rd rank unless you're already a Satanist. Like it's not they recruit you into that and then they indoctrinate you and inform you, oh yeah, it's all inverted at the top. It's that you have to already have submitted to that before you're eligible to be drawn into that. That's what I keep hearing. I've never been in one, so I don't know for sure, but that's the kind of thing we're seeing. So you've got the secret societies, you've got the different cult groups. There are religious institutions that are also um, infiltrated and utterly satanic in the top ranks. There's one major religious institution in the United States that has the word Jesus in their title, and their top officials are literally robe wearing, child slaughtering Satanists. And we're like, why? Do their people know? And it's like, yeah, a percentage of their people know, but the bulk of their people are good and believe that it's good and they want to believe that it's good. So they cover it up and they idolize the institution. So they basically worship the institution. There's so much
Mm.
wealth and
I think there's a
influence that
lot of those different religions, Craig. Like, I mean,
could
without
be. Yeah.
naming, well, I mean, I'm not afraid to name them. I mean, like all the Catholics, unfortunately, the priests that were involved in covering up, all the things that were happening in their churches, and then they would report back to the Vatican, and they'd relocate, certain priests. I've known it in the Catholic Church. I've heard of it in the Mormon churches. I've heard it in relation to almost every single religion, if not most of them.
Yeah. Well, I think God's a God of justice and shame on us whenever we don't hold a straight line and and punish those who are doing harm to the children. And nobody cares about your institution if it's wicked. And so what I think is people need to learn how wicked your institutions are so that you stop worshiping them and you start protecting God's precious children. Because what good is your institution if it especially if it's supposed to be following the way of Christ? If it's an utter abomination in the top ranks, then what are you doing? Any of you?
Right.
So I think we need to hold a straight line. We need to not play favorites. It's demoralizing, Matt, when we see a
Hmm.
two-tiered justice system where
Hmm.
some people who are making war on children, who are poisoning the populace, who are doing all manner of atrocities to mankind and betraying the American populace at industrial scale skip around on TV like they're enjoying impunity, like they don't have a care in the world. It's demoralizing for the people. And I'm hard on President Trump because, in my opinion, all he has to do is assign an attack dog to go purge the DOJ of its deep and obvious corruption. And the same thing with the FBI and the same thing with the CIA, and then use those key institutions to help drain the rest of the swamp. But he hasn't done that by my observation. Maybe he has, but it's just been done so masterfully secret that nobody's seeing any arrest and any change. But people will criticize Pam Bondi because they're not seeing the arrest and they're not seeing the purging of the corruption. So shame on us as a populace when we don't weed out those who don't belong. It's not merciful to be soft on those who are ruining everything. It's merciful to hold a straight line and punish them and remove them from the rest so that the rest can rise up and thrive. That's my strong
Yeah.
opinion on that.
No,
And
that
you
makes
talked
that
about
makes a lot of
discernment.
sense.
Yeah, you talked about
Hmm.
discernment, and I think that's so very important. The more you read through again God's word, the more discernment you're going to have because you see how people are judged. You hear the Father's words, and when He speaks on what His opinion is, and when His wrath is allowed to fall on people, and when He has mercy and lifts them back up. So, not only should you read His word constantly and marinate on it and meditate on it, but you should pray to Him. The thing that's like jet fuel for my prayer life and my intimacy with the Father, Matt, is gratitude. People are seeking all kinds of mechanisms and methods to get closer to God. I'm telling you, it says, in all things give thanks for very good reason. And I think it should be really highlighted. When you pray in a deep, emotional, let your emotion and get alone so that no, you're not embarrassed in front of man, because heck with man, in this instance, dare to take your emotional armor off in the presence of your creator, the only one who will never leave you nor forsake you. He alone is safe to go completely bare, completely with wild abandon. Father, here am I. See me. I love you back. Jesus, let's go. What do I need to know to draw closer to you? Bless me, Father. I'm struggling right now. Bless my family because blah, blah, blah. What do I need to know, my
Right.
King? I love you. How do I serve
Right.
you? Man, if you do that, if you allow yourself to feel the emotion, there's something that happens in the um
Amen.
and the way that your physical body was created to function, your temple begins to generate an
Come
electromagnetic
on.
field that is very powerful, and it seems to
Yep.
thin the spiritual veil, and you can commune with him much more closely. I feel like I'm climbing up in his lap and just wrapping my arms around him like a big Santa, only a
I
holy,
love that.
perfectly righteous, father.
Right.
Um, and
Right.
that I urge everyone to do. And if you're doing that, you start to have your heart posture being more like his. Then you walk in more love, more gratitude, more compassion
Right.
for others, and you'll respond to things more like the way he would. Now, we're humans, we're still horribly flawed compared to, because I don't know about you, whenever I've felt his presence the most and it's been revealed the most, it is so intense. I don't feel like I'm worthy and shouldn't be there. I feel like I should just be on my face begging for survival. It's like a nuclear bomb going off. You're like, that's what holiness feels like. What am
Right.
I? Because I'm not that. I mean, I want to be
Right.
good. I want to be close to, but you can feel the contrast. So if people are doing that, they will respond in a way that's much more pleasing to him, and they will grow,
Oh
and
yeah.
they will be
Oh yeah.
blessed from it, and they will
Right.
bless others, and they will shine his light and be a very powerful witness for him. And in that, he will be
Amen.
greatly pleased. And so
Yeah,
I
Craig,
want
I
to
think
encourage people for that.
what you just described, I think is what I have been praying a lot for in our society because imagine if more of us do that on a daily or at least weekly basis, how would our society look if we can just have more of a connection with God, with
Yeah.
ourselves, with each other? I think we could really change how this world would look, if people can just be humble to enough and give the time that God wants with us and just give it all to him.
Yeah.
And
Well, this world doesn't want to allow you. This world wants to make sure your phone's blowing up, the door's knocking, and
I
people
know.
are calling, and your mind is racing into a thousand things. Your bandwidth is designed by global systems, I firmly believe, to be completely maxed so that you have no time left to
Right,
commune with your creator and know who you are, why you're here, and what you're to do.
right,
Because that disempowers those that want the maniacal, tyrannical power over all the Dr. Evil characters that, the
right,
Klaus Schwabs and the
right,
Soroses and all these weirdos. It disempowers them. But you have to make time. You have to plan and dedicate. I'm going to give several hours where it's going to be quiet. And for me, I put in earbuds and I have a worship music, high level, very mellow, beautiful worship music that's soft, is not interrupting my thoughts. And I block everything out and I just dare to open up my heart and just praise and worship him and feel the emotion, feel the gratitude, because that's what opens it up. A lot of people struggle with this. They're thinking, well, I'm thankful. That doesn't do it, because this electromagnetic field, the heart and brain go into a coherence and they go into
mhm,
a crosstalk. And it's the heart that's driving it, and it's the emotion that generates it, and then it starts expanding out. And for whatever reason, that seems to be what causes that spiritual communication to really open up. And that's when I feel his presence, and it's beautiful and sacred and holy and overwhelming.
yeah, I
And I
love
want it
that.
for everybody. So I just
Me
wanted to
too.
say, you got to book time, you got to value it and honor that, and get alone so that nobody's distracting you and you're not performing for anybody, and you're just communing with your
I love
creator.
that.
Best thing on
Amen.
earth.
I love that, Craig. You're so right, man. You totally are hit it. You hit it on the head today in this show. And it's interesting. Today is the State of the Union address by President Trump.
Oh,
And
nice.
you earlier were talking about the DOJ and all of the people who are running the country now and the responsibility and the duty that they have to bring justice to those who have been hurting children, hurting our society. And I mean, really, if you can talk to President Trump yourself, what kind of advice would you give him going into his State of the Union address? Because from my perspective, the clock is ticking, and in November there's going to be midterm elections, and all the supporters that got him to where he is now are feeling disenfranchised because we've known about a lot of these things for quite a while, but the receipts are coming out and they're coming out in a major way. And he's a man chosen by God to do a job. He's not God himself. But knowing that, what information or what advice would you give President Trump going into the State of the Union that could really steer the ship back on course and for us
Yeah.
to have one tier of justice instead of two tiers in the country?
Well, you mentioned fifth generation warfare. It's an astute observation because that's a mechanism through which the spiritual war is carried out. Because Satan's politics is Marxism, global Marxism. That's the new world order that all these Luciferians want. And the way that they're carrying that out is through fifth generation warfare over information, controlling what we're consciously aware of, dumbing us down and programming us with false information. So I would say, Mr. President, tell people that war's being made against them in this way. Tell them, use the words fifth generation warfare. Tell them about the spiritual war that is being waged and that the children are at the center of it. Mr. President, for all crying out loud, I would say, find yourself an attack dog, a righteous Elliot Ness type soul, and give him a team, a highly qualified, selected team to go through and interview and purge the DOJ of its corruption
Yeah,
without regard to anything else other than uh, quality of people that are going to do the job. And do the same for the FBI, do the same for the CIA. Take those key agencies and then flip them and in once restructured under a new culture of thou shalt act in good faith for God and country. Now, your Luciferian agenda and all the perversion, all the corruption is now gone. No longer are you out to undermine the United States. You're out to save it. Um, then have them help drain the rest of the swamp. I would
yeah,
say if you did that, you're going to win everything because that's what we
yeah.
want. But until he says that, we're like, is he tone deaf? Is he
Right,
not hearing us? We're
right,
not seeing any arrests. We're not seeing any purging of our key agencies that should be doing the arrests. We've lost hope now. So
yeah.
now, are you really just an empty jacket making some good financial moves? Because we appreciate your financial prowess. That's cool. But I would say, Mr. President, without draining the swamp, all of your financial benefits are temporary. You're just a tourist there as president. At some point, you're going to be out. And when you're out, the swamp beasts are going to make war on us like never before. And they're going to destroy the economy because that's what they want. And you won't have prevented it. The only way, Mr. President, you can prevent it is take their players off the game board, prosecute them for the atrocities that they're guilty of, and let the laws be carried out. And look for what's the one of the penalties for high treason. Well, you can be executed. I think we need to be executing a lot of people who have made very, very egregious betrayals of the American people, much more so than a lot of the high level spies that have spent life in prison, rightfully so. But I think these people that have betrayed us outright need to be executed. And that's not for any bloodlust. That's for a statement of repentance, of us beginning to carry out justice in good faith without playing favorites. Justice needs to be blind. I don't care what side of the political aisle they're on. I don't care what religion they claim to be a part of. If they are part of this war on children and this undermining of our nation, they need to be prosecuted for their crimes and punished accordingly. Then, only then, can we begin to heal as a nation and strengthen. Otherwise, as soon as Trump steps out of office, we're toast. We're
We are going to be
toast.
toast. Yeah. No, I agree. I want to hear him say that he's in charge and that he cannot be controlled. I mean, obviously he's not going to say that in those words, but that's the optics that he's been giving us because we can only, not address the elephant in the room, which is the child crimes and Epstein stuff, and have him talk to us like, hey, our stock market is great, jobs are coming back. We don't want any of that milquetoast political nonsense from my
Yeah.
point of view. He
It's
has to
temporary. It's all temporary.
it is. And he has to hit the points of what he's going to do to take down the satanic system in whatever verbiage he wants to use in order to reach more people, fine. But I want to see what he's going to do to prevent them from retaliating against us once he's gone, like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
because he has to address it now, and he can't skate over it in this address
Yeah.
tonight.
I think he's very late on this. I think this would have needed to happen on day one. I was expecting, I was hoping and praying to see arrests on day one, like teams pre-staged, ready to start doing this and send a message and high level names that we all know uh, have committed all these crimes. See them arrested and having courage so that they could get to all of them with the time that they have. But since he apparently hasn't even started yet, the people are demoralized and they're disenfranchised with the program. They've lost faith in him, and so I don't know what he's going to say, but I hope that he does demonstrate that he's not so insulated from we the people that he doesn't get that. Because all we're
Mhm.
screaming is, "Where are the arrests?"
Yeah,
Because everybody I see is screaming, "Where are the arrests, Mr.
right,
President? What are you doing? If you're not doing that, nothing else matters. Everything else is temporary."
right.
You're leaving all of the enemy on the game board to destroy us all as soon as you step back aside off into your wealthy retirement. So,
Hmm.
um, fight for us. So
Yeah,
there's that. And I keep having to turn my mic off and cough. I just want to say something real quick.
go
I
ahead.
just got my immune system's run down because we just got back from our third operation of the new year. And this one, we got 5 arrests. By the way, we run joint sting operations with federal, state, and local law enforcement, arresting child predators of every type, of every level, of every class. And we've arrested cartel members, an LDS church elder, a federal agent, an army recruiter, illegal aliens. We've arrested all kinds. And so we got 5 arrests on this last one and 29 warrants. That's the third operation of the year. And so we run long hours and little sleep and we get run down and it's exhausting, but it's encouraging and inspiring to see that the mission is working. We're getting more calls, more opportunities for contracts for the government and helping them help train them and replicate what we're doing and provide intel for other agencies and orgs and what we're doing, the system, the template that we've figured out, we're able to replicate finally, which has been in my heart from the beginning. But we've just had to weed out the people who God didn't want to be part of this small, hand selected team who are all completely in obedience and submission to him. So now he's moving. It's accelerating. That's a pretty intense, and it's humbling because you realize it's all him. It's not us, man. You ever think it's about you? It's you're missing it. Is
Right.
he does the work. It's his universe. They're his children, and he lets us be his hands and feet when we're in obedience and tuned in to him. And that's a glorious and beautiful high honor to be able to serve his kingdom in any way, let alone, disrupting the wicked and wrecking their war on children. So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
stoked.
that's awesome, Craig. Yeah, thanks for that update. Thank you for putting in all these years of hard work into your service and into focusing it in on saving children and to your teams, to your personal family. I really just, pray safety and security and blessings over all of them because I know you guys work as a close, tight-knit unit and you guys work together very well. I just want to share with the audience before we let you go, Craig, where they can find you because I really want people to research your organization, Veterans for Child Rescue, and see if they can help support you. I'm going to go ahead and just share a screen here for just 1 second. See.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to encourage everybody to pray. Pray for the children. Pray for our president. No matter what you think of him, pray for our nation because as we choose and operate, so goes the nation and the rest of the world. So our nation is still a leader. So we've got a great opportunity here, and prayer is powerful, very, very powerful. Most people don't comprehend how powerful, especially corporate prayer, really is.
Absolutely. Amen. I couldn't have said it any better. You're totally right. Folks, I'd really encourage for you today, if this information that uh, Craig Sawyer had shared with us today resonates with you, uh, check out their website. It's vets, VETS, vets four, it's the number four, childrescue.org. Vets for the number four, childrescue.org. You can watch the documentary here, Contraland. It's posted up on their website. They have all kinds of different statistics on the effectiveness of their organization. I know as a nonprofit, they work closely with different law enforcement agencies as well and keep communications open so they can be effective and work together, doing everything lawfully and legally. And there's some great testimonials and other operations that they have conducted, so you can know more about what success stories they've had. And really, this is what we need in every single community across our land, across America. And so I really encourage for you to check them out and support them if you can. Even small denominations are welcome. You don't have to, donate your entire house. You could. That would be a very noble thing to do. But even if you just, give them what you can, and I'm sure they'd love you for it. And it's going to help children. It'll directly affect supporting, bringing children into safety and away from these evil people. So, um, Craig, I would love to bring you back on the show again in the future and just talk with you more. I got more questions for you. I always going to have questions for you because you're such an interesting man. But more importantly, I love the fellowship with you. I love being able to be open and honest and talk about Jesus with you and to walk with you, to fight with you if I can, and to help bring all these babies back home and these children off the streets. And I'm with you. I really just want to ask everybody in the audience to pray for President Trump and his family, pray for the administration, whether we agree with them or not. We not know all of the things that they know about. And so we just want to pray for God to have a plan and a hand in all of this, and that if we can live to see the outcome and to pray that it is a beautiful outcome, which that's what we all want, that there's a plan in place, and President Trump is playing a role within some movie that we wish would end. But in the meantime, let's just be there for one another. And Craig, thank you so much for joining the Ultra MK podcast.
Thank you so much. I've had a good time. I hope this blesses people and they learn something from it. And mostly, I hope our Father Yeshua is pleased with our chat today. So thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Thank you so much. God bless you and your family, and I will be in touch with you, sir.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day. Get some rest. All
I need it.
right. Bye-bye.